Hello, my name is Kristen, and I am obsessed with all things play-based and child-led learning. Truly obsessed. I am here to help you navigate the messy and the magical on your journey to a play-based program. It is truly magical on the other side, and I want you to feel each day what I feel when I walk into my classroom. I am the homeschool mama to 4. I'm the founder of a play and nature-based preschool and forest school, and I am here to cheer you on. I'm ready. Are you ready? Let's get going. So now we're going to go into like how we can be an ally for LGBTQIA+ in our work with children and families. Like some, I guess, like I'm just gonna be selfish, and it's because I want to know. Like, I want to know what I can do to be an ally. So that's what we're going to talk about now. But I also want to talk a little bit too, because I think it's important, is how to talk with young children about anatomy and physiology and the terms that we covered a while ago in our work with young children and anything else that we come up with.
Yeah.
So let's, what do you think? What do you feel like it's important to start with?
Well, it's funny that you said about the anatomy thing, because this is actually something that just recently happened, or I just had an experience with this at my program. One of the kids was walking. It's really funny. He was walking around asking everyone if they had a penis like he did, and so people answer yes, no. One of the teachers that we have, she's an older woman, and she said, "Well, no, I have a vagina." And he said, "Oh, why?" And she goes, "Because boys have a penis and girls have a vagina." And I didn't hear her say this to him, but she said it to me that she said it to him. And I was like, that's incorrect. And so just even things like that, like, it doesn't have to be some like sit down conversation with the children where we're like, "All right, everyone, we're going to talk about who has a penis today." It's just, for me, it's those organic conversations, like right then, when he was asking those questions, instead of saying boys have a penis and girls have a vagina, you could just say, "I have a vagina." Not, "I have a vagina because I'm a girl," because there are women that have penises. Shock of the world, right? And so I think it's just about finding those times where it can be like organic, and it doesn't have to be something where you have to like sit and have a whole explanation about it. It's really just about the environment that you create. It's about the language that you use yourself. Because we all know that children model everything that we say and do. And so it's also about checking our own language and the things that we use. Even when we use gendered language, like, "Hey, you guys," which I literally probably say 15 times a day, and I catch myself every single time.
I catch myself when I say that too.
All the time. But it's like things like that, just thinking a little bit more deeply about the language that we're using and the environment that we're creating. Are we creating space for all different types of people in our program, and not just like, do I have a book in the library with 2 dads in it? Like, do we go beyond that? Do we talk about acceptance? Do we just in normal conversation, do we invite families to share who they are and what type of families they have and celebrate that? For me, it's just make it as natural as possible. And as organic as possible, because we all know that's how children learn best anyways. They don't learn by us sitting them all down and telling them this is what the letter A looks like, and it means this picture of an apple, right? They
Right.
learn by doing organic, holistic things to learn about those things. So it's no different than this. And especially when a child is literally bringing up the conversation, they're like handing you an organic time, organic conversation. They're giving it to you right here. And it's like there's so much power in the responses that you give.
Right. So for that teacher, do you think she's still, I mean, obviously still learning, hopefully open to learning. So what could she have said when he said, like when she said, I have a vagina, and he said, why? Would an answer like, because that's what I was born with? Could you say that, or what?
I mean, yeah, you could, because if she's, identifies with the sex that she was given at birth, then that could be true. Or just because that's what I have.
That's what I have.
Yeah.
I have a vagina. That's what I have. And you have a penis, and that's what you have. And that's but yeah, things like that, especially when we start getting into anatomy and things like that, can be really, really difficult for people, especially people of those older generations. Like doesn't even compute to any of that type of stuff. And so it can be really hard to like get out of that mindset, because that is a natural response for a lot of people. Just if a child asks them that, right? And maybe not even because they don't think it's not true, but also because they're like, oh God, I can't have that conversation with them.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you can, because who else is going to have it?
Yeah.
If you don't have it, who else is going to have it with them? And then they're going to grow up and they're going to be uneducated as to how the world and people are.
Well, that, and then I love the way that you're not shaming them because of there's nothing wrong with the topic.
Exactly.
And so when we shame kids, we're telling them that they don't talk about this. This is not something to talk about, and or something's wrong. And so I just love the natural way you went about your whole center seemed to go about the conversation.
Yeah, and I mean, especially when it comes to body parts too, because that has so many correlations to it. Because if the children are talking about their penis and we're telling them don't talk about your penis, we don't talk about that, then if someone's touching their penis and they shouldn't be, they're not going to tell you because they're not supposed to talk about it.
Yep.
Exactly.
And stop calling your vagina your cookies or whatever they say to these girls, because they're going to say they're touching my cookies, and you're going to say I don't care because you shouldn't be eating cookies anyways, but they're really talking about their vagina.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand why people don't get that. Like, there's nothing wrong with terms of your body. That's exactly what it is.
And I think, like, in my experience growing up, my parents we never talked about anything having to do with body parts. There wasn't even like a word that was used at all. It was just completely kind of ignored.
Yeah.
So when I had kids, even like it was my first child 16 years ago, it was really difficult for me to start saying those words out loud because it felt shameful.
Yes.
Because I was never brought up in a household where it was talked about in any way, shape, or form. So it just takes saying it over and over. And you might cringe a little bit because it doesn't feel right. It's kind of like saying a curse word for the first time. You're like, oh,
yep.
Like how that felt weird. But once you say it more and more, you just, it doesn't become taboo anymore.
Exactly. And it shouldn't be. Like,
no, it shouldn't.
There's no bad word, all of that. Like, children should know the terms for their body parts.
Yes.
Period. For more reasons than one. Because they should. What is like it's very confusing to me. It's very confusing to me. But yeah, so that was my little like anecdote that actually just happened that I was like just talking about at work. And yeah, it's hard, and it is hard to bring those things up to people and to get them to start to like shift their mindset. And sometimes they're just not there for that, and they're not there for that. So
Yeah.
They're not ready for that conversation yet.
But that doesn't mean not to bring it up, because you could plant a seed and they might circle back and be like, oh, that's what they were saying. I wasn't ready for it, but now I might be.
Yeah, and just because you're not ready for it doesn't mean that you're going to continue to keep telling these kids that only boys have penises, because that's not going to happen, whether you're ready for it or not. So, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about just because I know that there's a lot of educators who might use guys. Hey guys, like,
oh, yeah.
you know, and that's a really hard habit to break. So my friend who teaches high school, she calls all of her students chickens now. So she's like, come on, chickens. And I mean, that's just like one way to like kind of break it quickly, I think, is to make it fun. Come on, alligators. I don't know. I hesitate to use the word friends because we're not all friends here.
Yes.
But yeah, so that was just a creative way that I wanted to share that somebody in the education industry has done that I know a little.
Yeah, a teacher I worked with uses neighbors because they're a community.
Oh yeah.
So she says, "Come on, neighbors."
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that's super cool. And it's just about you. A lot of times it really is that conscious effort. Like you have to like force yourself sometimes to like go back and say a different word, or really remember to like say a different word, because it is super. It is like probably the hardest, at least for me, it's been the hardest thing to break. But you have to keep trying, because that's what it is.
Yeah. Okay. Now I want to, and we'll probably circle back, I'm sure, but I want to talk about how people who work with children and families can be allies for the LGBTQIA plus community. What does that look like? How do we be an ally?
Well, it also has to do with the people that you surround yourself with too. So I always see this like little joke, I guess it's kind of a joke going around like on social media, where it's like, girl, if your boyfriend is homophobic, you are not an ally. Like, and that's true. Like, you can't be an ally and see things happening and not do something about them, or at least remove yourself from that situation, you know? And it's more than just, and this is a little bit of, I guess, a pet peeve of mine, but it's more than just being like, oh, yes, girl. Yes, hunty. I love, oh, yes, girl. Work it, girl. I love all the
Ever talk to me like that at work?
Yes, girl. I love like all of that, because that
I would walk away.
That happens so often, right? And it's like, that isn't it. just treat people with kindness and don't be a dick. I mean,
right. I mean,
can you still be
on your podcast? I'm so sorry.
We're just going to put an explicit on this.
Ooh.
Can you still be an ally?
No, I'm kidding.
Can you still be an ally if you've been married for 30 years and you really want to be an ally and you're very supportive of the LGBTQIA plus community, but the spouse you've been married to is not? can you still be an ally if you choose to stay with that person because you've been married and created a life together and have children and you love each other?
My caveat would be as long as you're working from inside the house. So, sure, absolutely. I mean, I think, here's the thing. Yes, I love that joke that's going on social media,
Yes,
but I think everybody can be an ally.
totally.
It's
Yeah.
just you have to. Being an ally is doing the work to support LGBTQ plus people, and that means helping to change the mindsets and the biases that those around you are holding. So if you are with that person and not doing anything about the mindset and the biases, then I would say no. But if you're working within the house and trying and doing what you can, then absolutely.
So I'm going to speak from some of my own experience here and pray to God my family's not listening to this. So my dad is homophobic, transphobic, and has sees the stuff that I put out on social media and sees what I share and actually went on a he wanted to lecture me on it as how it pertains to Christianity and his church and all of these things. And he's my father and I grew up with him and I love him dearly. And all I could do was say, I love all people and I support all people. And I hung up on him. Do I need to do more than that at the risk of completely destroying a relationship with my father? Or is that enough?
I mean, I guess there's two ways you could look at it. One way would be, again, like we said, if someone's not in the space to hear those things or not in the space to be willing to change their mind, there's obviously only so much you can do.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's no point in wanting to beat yourself up about it if it's like he's just not gonna get it. And especially people in those older generations, sometimes it just is what it is and they're just not gonna get it.
Yeah.
And then just, I don't know, you just really have to think about the people that you want to have in your life, and if it's okay that there's people in your life that don't hold the same beliefs as you about other people, and just make kind of that decision for yourself. But I think that relationship has nothing to do with your ability to be an ally, because what you did already by saying that to him and then hanging up is that. You did that because you're removing yourself from this negative space of homophobia and all of this, and you're deciding to not partake in that. So that's already something as it is. And
I blocked him on my social media.
Ooh.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah, my own dad. I blocked him because you don't get to comment on it. You don't get to corner me and
Very therapeutic.
spout off.
It is. But it's I mean, yeah, because if someone's not ready, I'm not going to continue to waste my breath when I could be using my breath to actually fight and actually work with people who are open-minded.
Absolutely.
Because it's what's the point, really,
Right. You can only do what you can do. And I mean, I would never question that you're an ally. Just looking at that, the whole situation, I know because I see your advocacy in everywhere else.
Right, exactly.
Just because this one facet might not be changeable or movable or edited, whatever, doesn't mean you're not an ally. And I think that's where that joke kind of trails off.
Totally.
because I think the joke is saying that you're choosing to remain with a person you're not necessarily what's the word, like obligatedly committed to, and that you're making a conscious choice to remain with that person. I don't think the dad situation is the same thing.
No, because especially with that joke too, it's like, because if you're with somebody and you're choosing to stay with that person, knowing that that's how they believe, you're basically saying that that's okay. Whereas we don't choose our parents, girl. You know, we don't choose that. That is something that's already there, and we can't make people think a different way. We can't make people open their mind. We can't make people do that. All we can do is speak our truth and speak what we believe. And if people connect to that and want to learn more, then that's great. And if they don't, then that's great for them. And we decide the relationship from that point on, which is what you are doing right now. You know, you're deciding, this is a relationship that I'm always going to have technically, but I can also decide what type of relationship I have based on these facets going forward. And sticking to that is being an ally.
Okay. Tell me how, like, what else can we do to be an ally? Let's maybe it would help to put it in buckets. How can we be an ally outside of the classroom and then inside the classroom?
Yeah.
I think
I love how I can see Samuel's wheels turning.
it's like, I mean, it's like what Willy said too. It's like you have to be willing to put in the work to fight for other people is really what it's about. And that has to do with being an ally for anybody. You know, you have to be willing to, number one, fight for other people. And number two, you have to be willing to fight and stand up for people that you don't even know.
Yeah.
Which is a really big issue for a lot of people. And honestly, personally, I think one of the reasons why the world is so messed up right now is because nobody has that feeling, right? But you have to be willing to do that work, because it takes work, and it's work for us every day. It's work for all kinds of marginalized people every day to just go out there and live. And so you have to be willing to do the work if it's important to you. So if that's spreading the message, if that's donating to organizations that think that way, if that's marching, fighting, going up, like there's all sorts of ways that you can do it. And I feel like a lot of times, especially in the world of social media, like there's like levels to being an ally that are like, this one's really good, and if you're only doing this one, you're not really as good. And I just don't really think that that's fair. And I think that everyone has a place and everyone has talents. Like you, for example, you are talented at speaking and getting messages out to people, whether through your words or through your content. So using that like you are, that's your form of being an ally. And it's just as valid as somebody who's going to go up to the Capitol and stand up there for 3 days straight and not eat any food and, you know, whatever other people decide to do, right? There's no better way to do it. It's all just about fighting for what you believe is right.
Do you want to know what's a really fun way to be an ally in my house?
Doing this?
Well, yeah, but like with my kids, is watching RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yes.
My children or Queer Eye. I mean, we watch that, and it's like we celebrate people.
Exactly.
And my children have learned so much about the language and pronouns and tucking. Like I had to explain tucking.
Well, and then let's continue this thought. Let's talk about like showing, like supporting media that's uplifting queer voices.
Yes.
I'm gonna tell you guys something right now. It's gonna make you mad, but it's gonna I have a reason for saying this.
Okay.
He's never watched
Lightyear. Have you guys heard about what happened with Lightyear?
No.
I heard it was horrible. That's all I heard.
I loved it.
I heard it was really, no, I didn't see it. I just heard people saying it was like really bad.
I loved it. Okay.
Here's
the thing.
Okay.
At least I think I really liked it. Okay. There's about 30 seconds worth of obvious on screen where there is a lesbian couple.
Oh.
About 30 seconds in total. I would say there's like little pieces throughout, but I would say in total it's probably about 30 seconds, no more than a minute. There are some people who did not like that.
Of course.
And so before the movie even came out, there was over 1,000 one-star reviews on like Yelp or Rotten Tomatoes, whatever it is, before the movie even came out.
Oh my God.
Now I want to go see it.
So
just
this movie has already been declared to be Pixar's least ranked movie because
maybe that's all the people that I've been reading that say it's bad. Maybe
go see it. It was great. But here's the thing. So going and writing about them on these platforms, supporting these ventures into queer spaces. It was 30 seconds of a movie, and people have gotten upset about that. So showing support that people can that queer people are allowed to be on screen, and queer people can thrive on the screen is important.
Okay. Go ahead.
I love that. And it just made me think of something else. Because a lot of people like to, a lot of people enjoy the fruits of queer people's labor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Many people enjoy the dance music and whatever else they think that like queer people create, right? But then there's that line where they enjoy it, but they're not going to celebrate the people who actually make it, right? Just like when we're talking about Black people, for example, it's the same thing. Like everybody loves the things that Black culture brings us, but look how we treat the actual people. So it's like when you talk about watching Drag Race with your children and you talk about how they're learning from it and you're talking about it, that is the way that you should be absorbing queer entertainment, as opposed to watching it and death dropping all over the place, but then not doing anything other than that. You know what I mean?
And I do have to say, like, I am
you death all over the house.
What?
I said you just have to tell us that you death drop all over the house.
No. Okay, so my 11-year-old today, she saw this pin because I have one like sitting in my car. It actually broke off my backpack. So now I just have the little tiny thing like sitting on there's like this little dashboard crevice thing. So it just sits in there. And she got in the car and she saw it. She's like, oh my gosh, I love this thing. And I said, it's from my friend Willy, and told her the story of like the pins and how he donated money to different organizations. And she's like, that is really, really neat. That is really cool, Mom. And okay, so this leads to a question that now it's like I'm asking for myself, parenting advice. So I was like, I'll give her a pin to put on her backpack. And then I was like, okay, if I do that, I then have to teach her something to say when somebody makes fun of her, because there will be the children who don't have access to parents like me. And like, I mean, it's like those things that I have to, that's being an ally right there. That's like, okay, I have to think through it because I'm going to help my child through this situation, because inevitably they're going to get some flack for being an ally. So how can like an 11-year-old be an ally in a developmentally appropriate way.
I feel like sometimes that those are the best allies, really, because the children are our future. But
You're non-apologetic.
it's true, like the children, that's who's going to grow up and run things, right? And so, and children and young people, and now I sound like an old person, but children and young people have such power, and I don't think they realize it. I think they're starting to realize it, but I don't think they really truly realize how much power they have. And they're so much more accepting now than even like when I was younger. And so children and young people just have such a loud voice that they can use, and it can be hard to use it, but they can really, really make a change. And even if it's just something as simple as saying, like, someone makes fun of the pin and then saying like, okay, I don't care.
Yeah.
I like it and I wear it because I support people. The end. You know, it can be as simple as that. But I think just reminding them like the power that they have, like in their words, and the power that they have to like literally change the world. Like they're going to be the ones that change the world, because all these old people around here aren't going to change anything.
Yeah.
And young people really have that power.
Yeah, they do. My 7-year-old, we were watching Survivor together, and he doesn't spend as much time. Well, he doesn't watch RuPaul's Drag Race with us. He's sleeping when we watch it. So he goes to bed, and then that's the time that me and my other children watch RuPaul's Drag Race together. So we're like binge watching all of the seasons. And so he doesn't have a lot of that language that everybody else does. So we were watching Survivor, and they brought in like their family for like, I don't know, they have like a family night every season where they bring in family to the island. And one of the men, his boyfriend came, and he's like, my 7-year-old saw them like kiss and hug, and he goes, wait, that's his brother? He's kissing his brother? And I'm like, no, that's not his brother. It's his boyfriend. And he goes, well, that's really rare. And I was like,
That's so funny.
it is rare to see it on TV.
Yes.
I mean, it's not unheard of. I was like, yep, that it's somewhat rare, but boys can kiss boys, and girls, like, you can kiss whoever you want. And so like that,
I love choice. It's so funny sometimes. Like, oh, what?
Yeah, that's rare.
That's rare.
Oh, and then he goes, because he's really like, he's a little mathematician. He's like, I go, that's not that rare, or something like that. And he goes, well, it's probably only like 3% of the population. That's what he said. Like, that's what his little brain came up with. It's like,
love him. I love him so much.
It's probably more. And I bet it would be a lot more if people could actually like be who they want to be. Anyway, just
that is funny.
That's amazing.
Like to tell you the conversations that happened in my home. Okay, so I should tell you both that I sent you both a message to like set this up at the beginning of the month. And then as soon as I sent it, I instantly regretted it, because I was like, oh my gosh, like people are going to think that I'm only doing this because it's Pride Month, and like I should be doing this every month of the year. And so then I got a lot of like internal like turmoil from doing that. But again, like I do try to elevate all year round.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what do you think about that? Like so like if you are in a classroom that you are, I'm thinking more like private preschools or private schools that are able to really that are able to actually say the word gay in their
Right.
in their space. Why is it important to not just talk about it during the month of June?
Because gay people are alive every month of the year.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Yes.
We're here all the time.
There's so much good t-shirt quotes in this.
I mean, we're obviously a little bit extra during this time, but
I love extras.
You didn't realize that you weren't talking to Samuel and I every day outside of June.
Yeah, exactly. It's always been us. But yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, it's great to have specific times to celebrate, especially marginalized communities, right? Because that don't usually get the recognition, right? And then of course, we always have the people out there who are like, well, where's my straight pride parade? Well, you don't need a straight pride parade because you can't get killed for being straight in 37 other countries or whatever, right? Yeah. But I mean, it's good to have that time to because I think what I like about specific months to celebrate different communities of people is that it puts a spotlight on things that maybe sometimes isn't always there, which is always really great to have like a reminder. But yeah, these are things that should be obviously talked about all the time because there's a lot of queer people in the world, and there is going to be more and more queer people in the world as people start, like you said, people start having the space to be themselves. I feel like there's going to be a lot more people who finally discover who they are. And so it's important because it's just people, it's just humankind. Like, just be kind to people and let people live their life. And if it doesn't have anything to do with you, then shut up about it. Like, yes. I have like all the mean t-shirt quotes tonight.
Yes, it's amazing.
But it's
it's
like
great, though.
Everybody, I feel like so many people are so concerned about things that have nothing to do with them and are not concerned about what's going on inside their own self or their own home. So
exactly.
Why don't you worry about what's happening in your house, and I'll worry about what's happening in mine.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, and in June is the month we're kind of accepted, right? It's the rest of the year that we get told that we're an issue.
Yeah.
We get told that we are manipulating people. We get told that we get to watch Congress people and senators and all these politicians decide things that they have no understanding of.
Don't forget our agenda.
Our agenda, the Taco Tuesday meetings, right? It's June's the month where we kind of get told that we're kind of get like a free pass month, which I mean not this year, but we gotta get like a free pass month. And then the rest of the month's like, okay, well, you had your month, so now
I wish you could have a free pass month every month.
You
do in my world.
So that's why it's important to be an ally.
It's July
12
1st.
months of a year.
Tone it down now.
Is it July 1st? Oh no, it's not.
No.
It's like
that's someone that will say that, like, oh, July 1st. Now tone that down. You had your
month.
So a couple years ago, I was on an airplane in June, flying to San Francisco, and there was a person in front of me, and I don't know their pronouns, but if I were looking at outward appearances, me personally would say they were male. And we went to San Francisco, had our trip, got back on the plane, same person sitting right in front of us. And they had their phone out, and they were trying to like hide it a little bit, but I could see while I was with my coworker, Alyssa, I could see like, and she's an ally, and we could kind of see what the photos were, and they were all from like a pride parade, and they were dressed in drag. And the cutest thing ever was they still had like tons of glitter stuck in their ear. It was, and her and I are just like melting because we were like, well, we were both like sad because and maybe we didn't need to be sad because we don't know anything about this person, but we're hopeful that they have allies.
Yeah.
And supportive people in their life. But we were both melting inside because we were just like, I am so proud of you for going to a place where you felt celebrated and happy, and just watching them reminisce over the photos over and over and over was so cool. I'll never forget that.
I love that.
That reminded me of something else I'd read again. I feel like I'm bringing all the sad stuff too, so it's okay. You get the mean quotes, I get the sad stories.
Okay.
It reminded me of something I saw on social media that went over a couple times about, and this person was saying that to prove that because people like to say that because we have pride that we're obviously in a different, like everything's okay, we're like
right.
Like you guys are obviously equal to everything. We've got pride, you have a pride month, like it's all okay. But this person was talking about how, I think it was Chicago, it was Chicago or New York, or somewhere where they take a lot of trains and subways and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how as it was losing pride, you saw all these like young kids like scrubbing their faces off and like throwing away flags and trying to get rid of any trace that they had been to these places, because they were going to go back to somewhere where it wasn't okay. And I think that kind of that's like showing it's like we've still got a long way to go. And that's why it's more than just June, it's all year, because even in June, even though I said we had a free month, even in June, it's still an issue to people.
Mm-hmm.
My kids just got home, so I was trying to like give them the eye that I'm like on here.
You're busy.
Okay, we're going on like 2 hours here.
I was just looking. I'm like, oh my God, doesn't even feel like
yeah.
it.
So
oh my goodness.
I want to go over really quickly what educators or early childhood educators can do to be an ally within the classroom all year long.
Absolutely. Get to know your families. Be aware of who your families are. Not even just families, be aware of like your colleagues. Get to know your colleagues. Be aware of the things that you plan for the year. If you're going to plan to do Mother's Day, I say don't do Mother's Day or Father's Day presents, but if that's what you're going to be doing, be conscious of the kids that you have. Some kids don't have mothers, some kids don't have fathers, some kids have two fathers, some kids have two mothers. Mm-hmm. Just be conscious of all that. If you're going to be planning a event for guardians to come in, like a donuts with dads, be aware of what students are going to be left out of that, because they have two moms, so they're not going to have dad coming.
Yeah.
Or any kind of situation it might be.
Mm-hmm.
Just know your atmosphere, and make sure that you have books and that you have pictures on the wall and you have materials that can be used by the children that are queer friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Or queer thriving.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Thriving is my new word. I'm using it on everything.
I like it. Samuel, do you have anything to add?
Yeah. Also, just it's okay to be honest, and it's okay to be honest about the things that you know and the things that you don't know. If a child asks you something and you don't know the answer, or you're uncomfortable with the answer or whatever, talk about it with them. You know, there's nothing wrong with that, because it also will show them that it's okay to not know everything, and it's okay to continually learn things. And then also be honest about yourself too, and be honest about who you are. That's a big thing. That's a big thing for me, at least. Like everywhere I've ever worked, every child knows exactly who I am and knows who Perry is and has seen him. And we've talked about it like, I don't want to say like it's normal because that sounds really bad, but like we talk about it like it's nothing. Like, this is what we did last night. This, just being honest and being open about those parts of you as well can create a safe space. And then just remember that when we decide to work with young children, we are deciding to advocate for them. And if that's something that you're uncomfortable with doing, then don't work in this field. Another mean quote.
Yes.
If you're uncomfortable with it, then get out.
Yeah.
No, but really, because that is a huge part of what we do. And, we have to advocate for what's right for the children, and it can be hard and it can be tough, but that's why it's important to find other people that you can connect with and get encouragement from. And just make a space where the children can feel safe, no matter who they are and no matter how you may feel about who they are. They still need to be safe and know that.
And then I don't know how many guardians are listening, but if you're a guardian listening and you're hearing your child come home and they're talking about these things that their teacher is talking about, let the teacher know that you support it. Let them. There's so much messaging going around right now about what teachers are doing in the classroom, what kind of manipulation apparently that we're doing in the classroom, that it's very disheartening to be a teacher right now for many teachers. Just so if we're doing this and you support it, should tell us you support it, so we have somebody, when someone comes at us and says you're doing something wrong, we can point and say, hey, I have one person, I have somebody that's supporting this, I have 3 people who have come and told me that they want this to happen, I have 4 people, whatever it is.
Lovely suggestions. Thank you both so much for taking time to educate people. Tell people where they can find more of you each, both of you.
You can find me on Instagram at Honoring Childhood. You can listen to my podcast. It's also called Honoring Childhood. That's literally, you can register at the link in my bio for the virtual day camp that's coming up in July.
Yeah. Hopefully.
You should do that. Oh wait, you're probably gonna post this after that's already done.
I have no idea. No, I'll probably post it I'll probably post it tomorrow. Who knows?
But register for that.
Yeah, the link is in Samuel's bio.
I need to do that.
Okay. And you have a course that is called Partnering with Families.
I do.
And do you cover anything of what we've talked about in that course at all?
Yeah, definitely. Talking about how to support all the different types of families and how we can create a safe space for them in our classroom. So check out that as well.
Aren't you glad you have me here to plug you?
I am. Look at that.
Yeah.
Let's see. What's Willy gonna plug? His master's program.
No, I'm absolutely not plugging my master's program. No need to do. Don't do it. No,
well, he is gonna have a t-shirt shop up.
Yeah,
and he's gonna steal all of Samuel's quotes.
Yes.
Yes. All the no. So you can find me on Instagram at Mr. Willy _ pre-K. I am not Mr. Williams pre-K, who is the very popular TikToker. A lot of people seem to get that mixed up. But if it's still June, you'll see.
You have way better hair than him anyway. So.
But if it's still June, there's still a ton of stuff on. I've been posting all about Pride on my Instagram. Mondays, I give you some kind of PD book to look at. Wednesdays, somewhere you can support, and then on Fridays I showcase some kind of young activist, which is very funny because some of them are only like 2 or 3 years younger than I am. And then my other big thing is these pins. I have these pins that say "Let Queer Kids Thrive." They're $6 on Etsy, and for every pin that's sold, half of that I don't keep any profits. I'm literally only keeping $2 for the pin itself and $1 for the packaging. But the other $3 is going to some kind of queer youth organization. Right now it is Drag Queen Storytime, because of a lot of the issues they've been facing, and I wanted to show them that we support them and that we are there for them. But yeah, check those out.
Okay, I'm not sure if this is acceptable to do or not, and we can cut it out if it's not, but can you share your Venmo with people in case people just want to like,
oh my gosh,
donate because of the education that you've just given them? Is that acceptable or not?
Why wouldn't it be acceptable?
Okay, then give me your Venmo. And I'll put it in the show notes too.
That's the other joke I've been seeing going around social media. Have you seen that one where it says, you know what? It's Pride Month, and instead of giving your money to these horrible corporations who just pretend to love gay people all year, you should just give your money to me, a gay person,
who will use it to pay for my own food.
Exactly.
No, I have not seen that, but I empathize.
Yes, right? Just pay me. But yes, my Venmo is honoring childhood.
Amazing. Thank you.
My Venmo, I'm double checking, is at WVILL002.
Amazing.
Nice.
And I will put them in the podcast show notes as well.
Love it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This was delightful. I missed you both.
I love when the three of us get together.
I know. Like,
so jealous.
I'm going to come up with something fun and creative that we need to do like on a monthly basis. We need like a monthly series.
Yes.
Or something, but we need to have like a song and costumes with it.
I love it.
Somehow. Because I think that would be great.
I love it.
That'd be so much fun.
Okay. Well, and you guys have great ideas too. So if you think of something, like, let us know.
Yes,
absolutely.
I really need to come up with something just so Willy can wear his bonnet again.
Oh yeah, my bonnet.
Your camp hat that looked like a bonnet.
I forgot about that.
Oh all right. Toodaloo, bugaboos, chickens. Love you both. Thank you. Hey, I need you to do me a huge favor. If you liked listening and you want to be able to hear more, can you please go onto iTunes and leave me a 5-star review? I would so appreciate it. And then connect with me on Instagram. It's learning.wild. We'll see you around.